Thanks for having me, Kai. We were in a breakout session a couple weeks ago, and I told her what I was up to, and she goes, "Well, that might make for a good talk." And I've been a member of the group for a few weeks. I wanted to thank Marianne Fitzgerald for inviting me to the group. It's been a good experience so far. I really enjoy it. I don't know if she's on the call today, but thanks, Marianne. Can everyone see the screen? Terrific. All right. So, quick agenda. I want to share some findings with you today from a landmark study that I did, research among researchers. I got a couple of quick mini case studies about how chat is being used for data collection. We'll do our group breakouts, and then we'll wrap it up with our discussion. So, to kick this off, I want to share with you a study that I did a couple of months ago, actually. It was the first study to use a chatbot to interview researchers about AI and the chatbot, and then we also used AI to analyze the results. So we were only able to speak to 44 people, but for a B2B study, that's not so bad. The great news was we had a really strong audience there, senior level researchers, very experienced. Most of them had over 15 years of experience, a good mix of client side and supplier side, qual and quant experience. So I was pretty happy with the target audience we were able to reach. What we did is instead of creating a survey, we created a chatbot, and I worked with the team at Reveal AI, which is a provider of this type of technology. I've worked with them a couple of times, and we created a 10-minute chat. And so it was a little bit akin to writing a discussion guide, if you will, right? So put some probes in. It's not the type of thing where the chatbot actually creates all of its own probes. It's a smart chatbot, and it does respond in kind of a human fashion, but you still have to give it some of the key probes to kind of get it going. So what was interesting is the overall findings were very similar to some of the findings that I've seen from some other industry reports where they interviewed 200, 300, 400 people. I'm sure the surveys took a long time to compile, whereas ours, we just did it in a week or two, right? And it was again kind of interesting to see that we had some similar kind of trend lines and themes in the data as these larger, costlier industry studies. What was really, I think, unique about this study was that we had this additional depth of insight, and we had really robust open ends driven by these smart probes that are in the AI chat tool. So, and I'll share with you some of those things. But that's really kind of what I think sets the whole thing apart when you start doing these types of kind of qualitative, quantitative interviews using chat. So one of the first things we asked people were, are you excited about this? Are you concerned about this? What's your overall feeling about AI as a market research tool? And we saw the enthusiasm was pretty high here overall, that 54% of people said they were excited. There were some people who said 23% said they were both excited and concerned. And then there was those 18% said they were concerned. But overall, there was a lot of enthusiasm for AI as a tool that could impact efficiency and project support. There was just this general optimism about, this can transform our industry. Isn't that exciting? Anticipation for the future. And what was interesting too is there wasn't a lot of concern that AI would be replacing market researchers. Okay, it was going to be something that would enhance our capabilities, not replace who we are. And most of this crew here, I think, is either in qualitative research or if you've worked with qualitative research. And I think one of the things we really enjoy about qualitative research is we get the depth of these responses. And this is the type of thing that we got from this AI tool. So I won't read them all to you, but we had, again, as I mentioned, we had a good mix of corporate researchers, we had suppliers, we had independent research consultants. But this one independent research consultant said, "I'm excited. I'm always looking for ways to be more efficient, welcome technology that can help me. I view AI as a tool that would sit alongside me and help me be more efficient with the analysis, but by no means do I think it could replace me altogether." So that was kind of the general tenor, like positive. It's a tool that that could really help us down the road. I'm excited as this should enhance speed and reduce costs, possibly also uncover new applications of research. So. Yeah, there were a handful of researchers who expressed some concern. They were kind of on the fence, so there was, I'm semi-excited. I've been hearing for years how AI is going to transform the industry, but only recently do I see actual tools that will be helpful. I think market research will benefit from AI, but we are still far away from it becoming a regularly used tool. So, some excitement tempered by some, wait and see type of attitude. But again, the skepticism levels were really low. So we spoke to 44 people, and there really weren't a lot of people saying, "Oh, AI is never going to work. It's not going to happen." It was more like, "This is happening. We need to embrace it, and it's something that we can work with." So we asked the researchers that we spoke to, and 67% said they had used AI in some form or another. Now, a lot of people describe that as using it to do background research on a category, using it to help them create a discussion guide or a questionnaire, so they wouldn't forget about content and that type of thing, kind of making them smarter. So that was kind of a base use of AI. A lot of people were kind of mentioning it. They were kind of incorporating this into kind of what they do on a day-to-day basis. And then we also ask people, well, what are you thinking about for the future? Will you use AI? And so we see kind of a jump there from like 2/3 to 8 and 10 saying that they are considering or planning to use some sort of AI in the future. And again, that took a lot of different, it was a lot of people using ChatGPT. There were some people using it for data analysis, for text analysis and that type of thing. And they were thinking that this is the type of thing that they would continue in the future, more on the analysis side. But even among those people who weren't like fired up to say, oh, I'm definitely going to be doing something, some of the feedback was, I don't have specific plans at the moment, but I think technology is intriguing and I can envision its use in our industry. It's possible I'd use it. I'd like to better understand the true benefits and potential risks. So when we ask people how you think you'll be using AI in the future, 46% said data analysis. And again, that's kind of that's kind of where I think a lot of people are right now with data. There's a lot of buzz around data analytics and using AI for that. 22% said they were not sure. 19% said some sort of task optimization or project management they would be using. And there was only 13% said they would conduct interviews or use it for data collection. So I kind of see this as kind of having the real potential though to take off, because when you talk to people, the people who understood it, that chat technology was out there and could be used for data collection, they understand that it allows for one-on-one interviewing at scale. So you save a lot of cost and time than you would over doing traditional IDIs if you had to do a lot of IDIs. If executed well, it provides a more natural experience than a traditional survey format, which could lead to better data quality and better completion rates. The unstructured data format of the AI chat, as you've seen, provides qualitative and quantitative insights, right? So you get that quantitative number that you're looking for, right? And you also get the depth of insights. And I've shared with some of those already. The other thing about the chat technology, you can adjust the tone, you can adjust the personality, and you can adjust the probes so that the chat can handle different categories and different type of target audience as well. So it's not just kind of one size fits all. You can actually have the capability to go in there and tweak it and make it very relevant for your audience and your particular project. So I don't know if we're at that place where we're certainly not the place where chat technology is going to replace traditional surveys right now, but I do think it's a way of kind of enhancing some of the tools we already have. So again, if you had a really serious project and you needed to do 20 IDIs and go very in depth, then you're still going to want to have a moderator do that, right? There's no replacing that type of interview process. But there are some other ways that we can use the chat. So one of these ways, I did a project. A company that I was working with had already done some qualitative research and had come up with a concept, but they weren't quite ready to put that concept into quantitative testing. They didn't want to commit to doing kind of the full quantitative research. So what we did for them was we set up a project using Chat AI. And what they wanted to do was go a little bit deeper on the drivers and inhibitors and pain points of this particular category, which was the purchase of an electric vehicle. So they wanted to get some they want to determine some interest in the concept. So will people even buy this from us? Is something that even makes sense, right? And they also wanted to get some more feedback for optimizing that particular concept. So what we did is we set up a chat. We did online interviews. Again, it was pre-programmed. We worked with Reveal AI in this particular case. And we spoke to 100 respondents in their target audience, and we interviewed them with this chat. The quantitative results suggested that the category was a good fit for the brand. We actually exposed them to a concept, and we asked them, is this appealing to you? Is this something you would buy? And we got a high number. Got something, 60–70% of the people said, yeah, this is something that I would be interested in, right? So that was great. So that kind of allowed them to check that box and say, hey, this is something that is worth kind of pursuing. It's 100 people. It's not a huge quantitative sample, but it's something that it's worth for them to consider doing. And the qualitative feedback, the open ends that we got, allowed us to optimize that concept. So just make those little tweaks to kind of say, okay, here's where it missed, here's where it hit, and develop a much stronger concept that they then took into quantitative testing. So again, in this particular case, the chat research that we didn't replace the initial qualitative, and it didn't replace the quantitative, but it was kind of a kind of mid-tier type process that we inserted to kind of make them feel better about the concept and also allow for the concept optimization. The second case study I want to share with you today, I reached out to another research company, pretty well known, medium-sized market research company, but nationally known for doing quantitative research. And these guys were doing a lot of text analytics. They had a tool that they had developed, and we're really excited about that. But they realized that they weren't getting as much out of the text analytics tool as they could possibly be getting. So when I mentioned to them, hey, why not take this chat technology and don't replace your survey with it? You can still do your quantitative survey, but when it comes to do the open ends, let's do an A/B test. Let's take one cell, and you can ask your traditional open ends as your control cell, And then let's have a test cell where instead of having the traditional open-ends, we actually use the chatbot and we develop some probes that we put in there to see what we get. So of course, lo and behold, we did the test, and the open-ends that actually utilize the chatbot were of course far more robust and detailed, and they got so much more information out of them. And then that allowed them to do even more with their text analytics tool. So they're at the point now, whenever they do a quantitative survey and they're going to do text analytics, they build this in as well, because they just see it as a much better way to actually pull those open-ended responses out of the respondents using the chat AI. So those are two case studies. There's probably all kinds of other different ways you could use chat as a data collection tool, but those are the two methods that I'm familiar with right now, and two use cases that I'm familiar with, and seem to be kind of things that work. So